everyone to day two of the Beyond Enough Summer Summit live. And today I am beyond excited to welcome KJ with her keynote. You're a big deal, so act like it. I'm so excited. I'm going to pass all of you over to her, and she's going to share her amazing keynote with us all today. And you can come and connect with us after and let KJ know your key takeaways from today's keynote. So without further ado, welcome KJ.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Happy afternoon to all of you. It's a pleasure to join you from across the pond. My name is KJ. Like Amy said, I talk really fast. I have a funny American accent. So if there's something that you can't understand or you have a question, drop it in the chat and I'll make sure that I catch up with you after this talk. But first, let's get started. I want to start with a question for you. When was the last time someone asked you, "So, what do you do?" And you nailed it. Not the awkward shuffle where you say, "Oh, it's kind of complicated," and you just shrugged yourself away. Not the quick subject change. I mean, nailed it. Clear, confident, maybe even a little bit proud. If you're thinking, "Oh, I'm not sure I ever have," you're not alone. Most women downplay themselves. We soften our stories. We shrink in conversations. And if you're like me, you apologize before you even speak. But here's the wild thing. I've seen this over and over. It's not just with women that are starting out. It's with women who are running 6, 7, 8-figure or more businesses. It's women who are leading teams. It's women who you look at from the outside and everyone else thinks, "Oh, she's got it all figured out. I want to be more like her." And yet, when it comes to talking about themselves, when it comes to talking about ourselves, we freeze, we minimize. We all worry that we're going to sound braggy, because heaven forbid we'd be braggy. But here's the truth, and I want you to hear this right from the start. And if you don't remember anything else from my talk today, I want it to be this. Visibility is not vanity. It's not. Visibility is a strategy. If you want new clients, if you want new opportunities, if you want new credibility, it doesn't happen in the dark. You can't be the best kept secret and expect the world to recognize your brilliance. It just doesn't work that way. And that's why I'm here today to talk to you. This keynote isn't about chasing fame or suddenly making you become louder than you want to be or an extrovert when that's not who you are. It's about learning to show up like the big deal that you already are. So before we dive in, I know Amy gave me a great introduction, but I want to tell you a little bit more about me. I'm KJ Blattenbauer. I'm a PR strategist, an author, and the founder of Hearsay PR. I spent nearly 3 decades helping overlooked experts become headline news, and my clients have landed places like Forbes, Vogue, Elle, and Architectural Digest. Plus, I wrote a best-selling DIY PR book called How to Be a Media Darling. But here's the part that really matters. I'm just a girl from the middle of nowhere in North Dakota, a place where there are more cows than people. True story. A place you've probably never heard of, and if we pulled out a map right now, a place most people couldn't find. If you told younger me that one day I'd be speaking to women all around the world about channeling their confidence and putting their expertise out there, I would have laughed at you, literally laughed at you. It would have felt impossible. It would have seemed impossible. And yet, here I am. Because at some point, I stopped shrinking. I leaned myself into learning the truth, and that truth is I'm a big deal. And you should lean into that too. So here's what we're going to cover today. By the end of this keynote, you're going to know 1, how to own your own story, even the parts you've been tempted to downplay. How to speak with confidence, so talking about yourself doesn't feel like bragging, it feels natural. And 3, how to get seen and be heard, because the world can't celebrate a story that it never ever hears. Before we start, I want you to just take a beat. Right now, I want you to just pause and think to yourself, if I fully believed I was a big deal, what would change for me? Just give yourself a second. If you fully believed right now that you were a big deal, what would change for you? You got it? Okay, hold on to that thought because by the end of this session, I want you to see that that change is possible. It's not a far-reaching dream. And we're going to start today to make that happen. So here's what I know after 28 years in PR. The thing you're downplaying is usually the thing that makes you the most magnetic. But most of us, we're experts at minimizing. We rush past our wins, if we even bother to acknowledge them. We brush off compliments, and we package our story in the safest, blandest way possible. So no one thinks we're bragging. Does that sound familiar? I know that I've done it from time to time. Let me give you an example. A client of mine, we can call her Sarah, she came to me and she said, KJ, I don't really have anything newsworthy about me. I just run a small interior design business. We're in the Midwest. It's a flyover state. No one can find us on a map. But as I started talking more and more to Sarah, I found out that this small studio had been featured in 3 national publications. She'd won numerous awards. She had a client wait list of more than 12 months, and people paid to fly her across the country just to look at their kitchens. Not even help redo them, just to look at their kitchens. When I pointed that out, she shrugged and he said, "Oh, it's not really a big deal." But it is. It is a huge deal. And that is the big deal. She's been hiding it all in plain sight. So here's the truth. Most women underestimate how powerful their story really is. And if you don't own your story, the world can't help you amplify it. There are a few reasons why I think we do this. I think we shrink ourselves because we're taught that humility is polite. We confuse confidence with arrogance. And I think we think that our story has to look like someone else's highlight reel to matter, especially in the age of social media. But here's a myth I want to bust with you right now. If you just do good work, people will notice. It's not true. Even brilliant work can stay invisible without amplification. Your talent is the foundation, but it's not the microphone. The media, the conferences, podcasts, the clients, they're not looking for perfection. They're looking for relatability. They're looking for authenticity, and they're looking for clarity. You already have that. It's just buried in self-editing and self-doubt and beliefs like, who am I to say this? So I want us to do a quick exercise together. I like to call this one Headline Your Life. So in your life or your business, if it was on the cover of a magazine, I want you to think for a second, what would that headline be? And I don't want it to be the headline that you're not the one you think should be there, not the one that you think your peer should be there or looks polished or the Instagram version of what the headline should be. I want it to be the real headline that you think should be there. So just take a couple seconds right now, write it down. Don't overthink it. Just write the first thing that comes to mind. What would the headline be that describes you and your life? While you're writing that down, I'm going to show you what I mean with my own. Okay, so if I were writing a headline as a publicist for Hearsay PR, I would definitely not pick something generic like Dallas woman runs PR agency. It sounds boring. It's flat. I wouldn't even read the article and it's about me. But if I was going to write a headline for my life, I'd pick something like the publicist who turns overlooked experts into headline news. That's a story I want to read. Even if it is about me, even if it's not about me, I want to know about this publicist. I want to know how she turns people into headline news. I want to know if she can turn me into headline news. See the difference? One blends in, it's boring. The other makes you curious. It positions me as the solution to the problem. I'm a publicist. People want to be headline news. Do you see how those go together? So since we're not all in a room together, and I'm very sorry about that because I'd love to be where you all are right now, we don't get to hear and celebrate everyone else's examples, but I want you to pause for a moment right now and read your headline out loud back to yourself. Notice how it feels when you say it out loud. Because here's the thing, you didn't have to invent anything. You didn't have to fake anything. You didn't have to pretend to be anything or dim your light to not hurt someone else's feelings or fit in their box. You just reframed what you already were, a big deal. In the same moment when I wrote my headline, I had the perfect chance to position myself, to highlight work that I'd done, let people know how I could help them. But early on in my career, it wasn't this way. Let me tell you about a time I got it completely wrong. So When I was younger, I was sitting in a meeting and someone asked me about my biggest accomplishment so far. And you know what I did? I played small. I minimized. I brushed it off. I laughed nervously because that's what I do when I get nervous. I giggle. And I said something like, "Oh, I don't do anything too exciting, just some projects here and there, a little bit of PR. I help people with their media." Again, in that moment, perfect chance to position myself, to highlight the work I'd done, to let people know I was someone worth paying attention to. And instead, I minimized it. I threw away the spotlight. And later, I realized that by shrinking, I'd literally erased myself from the conversation. I walked out of that meeting knowing I'd missed an opportunity. Not because my work wasn't good, not because it wasn't good enough, just because I was too afraid of sounding cocky. So, fast forward to a few years, older and wiser, same kind of setting, but this time someone asked me again about my accomplishments. Instead of brushing it off, instead of downplaying, I leaned in and I said very clearly to them, one of the projects I'm most proud of is helping people land multi-page features in national magazines. I had one client recently, it transformed their business and opened doors they'd only dreamed about. Do you know what happened after that? No one rolled their eyes. No one thought I was arrogant. I didn't die of embarrassment from being braggy. Instead, the people around me leaned in. They asked questions. They wanted to know more, both about me and my client. And that answer led directly to two more new clients, and opportunities I've been chasing for months. Dream clients. So here's the lesson. Every time we downplay ourselves, we close a door. Every time we own our story, we open a door. And those open doors, that's where the magic happens. Let's do another story because I'm a big fan of story times, right? So, another client of mine, an entrepreneur I'll call Maggie, she swore she wasn't ready for press until she hit six figures. But I finally got her to agree to just try one small pitch. Like, let's just throw one small pitch out there, Maggie. How hard can it be? It's not hard. With that pitch, Maggie landed a feature, a big feature. And within a week, she had six new clients come knocking at her door. If Maggie had waited for the perfect moment, if she had waited those years it takes sometimes to get to seven figures, she would have missed out on all of that. And that's why we don't wait. That's why, friends, we are owning our story right now. I want you to take a look back at the headline you wrote a couple minutes ago. I want you to circle one word in it that you've never used to describe yourself before. Maybe it's expert, maybe it's leader, maybe it's visionary. That's the word I want you to start practicing because words shape confidence. And when you choose stronger words for yourself, the world starts to believe in them too. For instance, I've always called myself a publicist. Sometimes I call myself a public relations professional, a PR pro. Usually I throw award winning in there because I have won awards, so have my clients. But lately I've been leaning into the word powerhouse. And I've started to describe myself, put it in my bios, share it with others, that I'm a powerhouse publicist. I'm a powerhouse PR pro. And you know what that does? It makes people stop and think. It gets their attention, but it also revs me up because it reminds me I'm a big deal. So make sure that in your headline for your life, you sneak a word like that in there. One you typically wouldn't use, but one that just describes how amazing that you are. Here's what I want you to remember from this first part of our talk. Your story is not too small. Your story is not too messy. Your story is not too ordinary. It's yours, and that's what makes it compelling. From today on, I want you to stop brushing past the big deal moments in your life. I want you to start acknowledging them. Start saying them out loud. Start writing them down. Start practicing them. Because when you own your story, you give the world permission to see you the way you deserve to be seen. Okay, take a deep breath for me because that was a lot to digest, right? So you're a big deal. You are a big deal. We good? All right. Now that you've claimed your story, I want to talk about how we're going to actually share it without cringing, without apology, and without sounding like we're being braggy. That's where confidence comes in. We're going to talk about that right now, right? So now you've owned your own story. I want to talk about the most part that makes most of us want to crawl under the table, right? Actually speaking out, drawing attention to ourselves, and actually talking about ourselves. Here's what usually happens. Okay, someone asks, "So, what do you do?" And suddenly we're all 13 again, right? Awkward teenage years. We're giving that book report on a book that we didn't read before class, and we've got called out by the teacher. We start to stumble, we minimize, we mumble something, and my kids would be like, oh, I just do PR stuff, kind of some media stuff, whatever, pitch friends. And meanwhile, my brain is screaming like, abort this mission, like this is not going well. Don't let them know what you do. And I want to crawl under a table and literally probably die. But here's the deal. If you can't talk about what you do clearly and confidently, how else are you going to expect anyone else to? If you can't talk passionately about what you're passionate about and really good at, how are your clients going to find you? This isn't about bragging. It's about giving people the language to understand your brilliance. And that's exactly what PR teaches us to do. So, when you're asked what you do, whether it's for a bio, a podcast intro, or even networking coffee, you can use what I like to call the 3 Ps of framework. The first P of framework is position. It's who you are and the problem that you solve. The second P of framework is proof. It's a quick example, a stat, a story that shows your impact. And the third P is the payoff. It's what happens when people work with you, learn from you, and hear your story. Okay? So position, proof, payoff. Those are our 3 Ps. Let's compare. If I was going to give a vague answer, my vague answer would be I do PR stuff. I help people with media sometimes. But if I'm going to give a clear answer and I'm going to use those 3 Ps, I'm going to say I'm a PR strategist who helps overlooked experts get consistent press so they're seen as go-to authorities. And my clients have landed in outlets like Forbes and Architectural Digest, which builds credibility and drives revenue. You see the difference? One makes you sound uncertain, like you're not really sure, which makes the person receiving the message not really sure about you or your expertise. The other, it makes you sound like a big deal because you are a very big deal. I need you to grab your pen again, and I want you to write down a sentence and fill in the blank. And this is a crucial one. We'll go over it a couple of times. The phrase I want you to help you brag better without being braggy is this. It's I help a specific audience achieve a specific result so they can impact our outcome. Let me give you an example. The weak version is I do PR stuff. It's vague, it's forgettable, it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, what does that mean to someone who doesn't know what PR is? And like, what even is PR stuff? It's downright boring, like snooze fest. You've probably fallen asleep listening to me say it. The stronger version is I help creative founders and entrepreneurs get consistent press so they're seen as the go-to authority in their industry and finally start attracting opportunities instead of chasing them. Do you hear the difference? First one, boring, sounds small. Second one, positions me as the obvious solution. Now it's your turn. If you're watching this live, I want you to write down our phrase again, and I want you to apply your stuff to it. If you're watching this on video replay, I want you to pause for 60 seconds and fill out this formula for yourself. Don't overthink it. Don't spend a ton of time on it. Just write, okay? Here it is again. I help, insert specific audience that you help, achieve, insert specific result that you help them achieve, so they can insert impact or income that you provide for them, right? So I help audience achieve specific result so they can your impact and outcome. Okay, how did it feel? Maybe a little awkward, totally normal. I want you to start saying it out loud after you write it down. And after a while, every time you say it, it's going to get easier. And suddenly you're not going to be stumbling anymore. You're going to be a person who can clearly and confidently say who she is and what she does, plus who she helps and how you help them. You're going to take the guesswork out of everything for everyone. And that's the shift I want you to take. I want you to go from just, oh, I'm just, to I am confidently. Before we move on to anything else, I also feel like I need to bust a couple more myths for you. The 3 quick myths that I think keep women in particular, but people in general, from speaking with confidence is the first one is that, again, talking about yourself is bragging. No, it is not. Talking about yourself It's a service. And when you can do it clearly, it's a very wanted service, right? It helps people understand how they can work with you or how they can learn from you. Talking about yourself is not bragging. Talking about yourself clearly is not being cocky. It's helping people understand you and what you can do for them, which people love. The second myth is that if I just do great work, people are going to notice. You couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more wrong. Even brilliant work can stay invisible without amplification. Talent is your foundation, but it's not the microphone showing people. You have to make people notice your great work. That's that's just how it works. And the third myth I want to bust today is that when people say, "Oh, I need a massive audience before I can pitch or promote myself." This is not true. This is completely false. Media, clients, and opportunities, they don't care about your follower count. They don't care if you have a blue check. They care about expertise. They care about your story. They care about the values that you possess, but also the values that you can provide them. And if you've been holding yourself back because one of these myths, whether it's I just do great work, people are going to notice, or that you think you need a massive audience, or you're worried about talking about yourself because it's bragging, I want you to pause for a second and write which myth is holding you back, which one that you believe in. Just think about it for a second and then think about the reality of it and what's actually true. Let me make this real for you. We're going to go through the 3 Ps again. I'm going to give you more examples, right? I want to go through a few. Here are some bad ways to describe yourself, and here are some better ways to describe yourself. I'm doing the 3 Ps again because I want to show you how these myths totally busted. You don't need them. So a bad way to describe yourself would be I'm a designer. A better way to describe yourself using the method we thought of, the 3 Ps, right, and our formula, is I'm a designer who creates functional yet luxurious interiors so families can actually live beautifully in their homes. Who would you rather hire? The I'm a designer or the one that's going to help your family live beautifully in the home? I know which one I'd pick. If you're a coach, it's not really going to cut it when you're just like, oh, I'm a coach. Okay. A better way to describe that would be I'm a coach who helps working moms launch businesses so they can build freedom without burning out. Who would you hire as your coach? The person that's just a coach or the person that's going to help you build freedom without burning out? Another example for you is a bad example. I'm a photographer. A better example would be I'm a photographer who helps entrepreneurs capture editorial quality images so they can look like the authority they already are. I think you're going to know which photographer I'm hiring, right? Same one you would, the one that makes you look like the authority that you already are. See how much clearer, stronger, and more magnetic those sound? That's what I need you to do about you. Okay, close your eyes for 15 seconds, maybe less. Picture yourself walking into a room where you don't know anybody. What's the one sentence you want people to remember when you walk out? Just picture it. Go ahead and picture it. I want you to hold on to that. Hold on to how you want to make people feel about you after you've left the room, because that's the energy you want to constantly put out there all the time. Whether you're in the room, outside the room, on your website, in materials you hand out, in emails, how you interact with people, really channel that and hold on to it. We've covered a lot of ground, but here's what I want you to remember from this little part of our talk. Confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the clearest person in the room. When you use the 3 Ps, when you practice your story out loud, when you stop apologizing before you've even started, you shift from a, oh, I'm just, to an I am person. And that tiny shift, it really does change everything. Because once you can confidently speak your story, you're finally ready to be seen and heard. Okay, now that you can own your own story and speak it clearly, it's time to talk about getting out into the world. So you're not just confident in private, but you're visible in public. I want to talk to you about getting seen and being heard. So now you've got the story, you've got the confidence, and the next step is getting it out of your notebook, out of your office, out of your home, out of your head, and out into the world, right? Because here's the truth. You can be the most talented, most brilliant, most impactful person in the room. But if nobody knows about you, opportunities are just going to pass you by. I say this all the time, and I said it a couple times here too. Hard work builds a foundation, but it's visibility that opens the doors. And man, when you're visible, do those doors open. So, here's what I mean. You don't need a certain number of followers. Again, you don't need the blue check mark. You don't need someone to tap you on the shoulder and be like, oh, good, it's your turn now. No, PR is permissionless. And here's what I mean. I've seen women with zero press history land amazing features because they pitch their story with clarity. I've seen entrepreneurs with tiny Instagram audiences get booked on podcasts that led directly to multi-million-dollar clients. The opportunities are out there, but they only belong to the people who are willing to step forward and grab them. Look, here's the beauty of visibility. Once you start, it snowballs. One podcast interview is going to lead to another interview, is going to lead to a magazine interview and more interviews. One article is going to lead to a client, which is going to lead to more clients. And then those clients are going to tell you about other clients. One panel could lead to a keynote could lead to more. Pretty soon, you could be speaking on stages all over the world, impacting lives and growing your business. Every time you say yes to visibility, your credibility compounds. So the question isn't, am I ready? The question is, what's my next step? Let's make this concrete. So grab your notebook, and I want you to write down two things. The first thing is one place you'd love to be featured. It could be a podcast you listen to, it could be a local newspaper from where you're from, it could be a national magazine, it could even be a stage like this one. Don't filter it. Write down exactly what excites you. Nothing is too big, nothing is too small. Write down the first one that comes to mind for you. Okay, now the second thing I want you to write down is I want you to write one small step you can take this week to move towards your first goal, right? Maybe it's sending a pitch. Maybe it's updating your bio. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend for an introduction. Two things. Where you want to be, one place you'd love to be featured. And the second thing, what's the one small step you can make to make that feature a reality sooner? If you're watching this on replay, pause the video right here, actually do it. Don't just listen, write it down, and then go do the one thing that gets you there, because I'm going to be waiting for you on pause. But since you're here with me live today and I so appreciate it, let's keep moving on. Here's why I wanted you to do that exercise. Visibility isn't about giant leaps. It's about small, consistent steps. You didn't just wake up one morning and your face is on billboards all over the world, right? You have to build momentum. You have to start stacking small wins to get you to where you want to be. Maybe billboards aren't your thing. Maybe you don't want tons of press, but maybe you want to be the lead authority in your industry, in your niche, in your neck of the woods. PR is going to help to get you there, but you can't get there if you don't start promoting yourself first. So identify where you want to be, then identify one small step you're going to take in the next week to get you there. I promise you, stacking those small wins, it's going to make a huge difference. I also want to tell you the cost of staying invisible, right? There's a woman I've worked with who stayed invisible for too long. Shelly had an incredible business, years of results, years of results. She was the best at what she did. Her clients adored her, but she refused to pitch herself. She refused to do media, said she didn't need it, said it felt braggy, said she's just going to wait till she was bigger. You know what happened to Shelly? A competitor with half her experience and none of her results started showing up publicly. They started promoting themselves. They started going on podcasts. They started speaking. They started being very active on social media. And they became the one person everyone associated with Shelly's area of expertise, even though Shelly had more. Shelly had the goods, but because she didn't share them, she got overlooked. And that's the cost of staying invisible. And the cost of staying invisible hurts. It really does. Both your ego, but also your pocketbook. On the other hand, I have another client, and she has leaned in. Emily started small. A guest blog post here, a local newspaper feature there, nothing glamorous. Emily has a very small social media following. She's had one or two posts go viral. She's probably gained maybe 50 followers total from it. She doesn't use social media as her guide. She's still using traditional PR. Nothing glamorous for Emily, but each piece that she kept getting PR-wise, whether it was the newspaper feature, the guest blog, the podcast, they gave her confidence. And every single feature led to another. And within a year, Emily was on national TV talking about her expertise. She didn't wait to be ready. She didn't wait to hit a certain number on Instagram. She didn't wait for her blue check. She didn't wait for permission. She built readiness by doing it. And that's the snowball effect. It's actually brilliant and beautiful once you see it in action, especially if you see it in action for yourself. So let me be clear. Visibility is not about chasing fame. It's not about being everywhere all the time for everyone all at once. Visibility is about being seen by the right people at the right time in the right places for you. It's about building credibility and authority so that when opportunities come, people already know who you are and what you stand for. And most importantly, it's about impact. Your story isn't just for you. It's for the women who need to hear it, the clients who need your work, the communities who need your perspective. Don't be selfish. Share it with them. I want you to take a moment right now and write this down. What's the cost of staying invisible to me? Is it going to be missed clients? Is it going to be missed credibility? Is it going to be missed income? Is it going to be missed impact? Is it just going to be regret? I want you to write down what the cost of staying invisible is going to be for you. Because here's the takeaway. You don't have to wait to be chosen. You can choose yourself. Visibility is not reserved for the loudest. It's not reserved for the flashiest. It's not reserved for the most followed. It belongs to anyone willing to consistently put their story forward with clarity and confidence. Because the world can't celebrate a story that it never hears. Yours deserves to be heard. It really deserves to be heard. So repeat after me. You, my friend, are a very big deal, and you need to start acting like it. Okay, with that and that mini pep talk, let's land this plane together. I want to leave you with a final message. We started today by talking about how most women underestimate themselves, how we downplay our achievements, how we shrink in conversations, and how we hesitate to pitch ourselves because we're afraid of sounding braggy, unworthy, or just too much. We don't want to polarize anyone. We want everyone to like us. But here's what I want you to take with you long after I'm gone. Visibility is not vanity. Visibility is a strategy. Okay, so let's recap what we've done together today. We've owned your story. You've learned how to stop minimizing and start reframing, because the thing you've been downplaying is usually the thing that's going to make you most magnetic to yourself, to your clients, to the media. We've learned to speak with confidence. We walked through the 3 Ps, and we walked through the brag better formula. So you can go from a I'm just to an I am type of person, right? And we talked about getting seen and being heard. You created your spotlight strategy and saw how visibility snowballs, compounding into credibility and opportunity. That's the roadmap. That's the work. It really is that simple. That's how you become a very big deal. So I want you to pause for a moment. I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now. You've started owning your story. You've practiced speaking it out loud. You've practiced speaking it out loud so much it now feels natural. You've put yourself forward, maybe with a pitch, maybe with a podcast, or maybe even just in a post, but doors have started to open. Imagine 6 months from now, what's different? Who have you impacted? How does it feel? Most importantly, what opportunities came to you because you finally stepped forward like the big deal that you were? Let's go a little deeper in that vision. I want you to really picture it. It's 6 months from now. You've stopped brushing past your wins. You've stopped speaking about yourself with clarity, or you've started speaking about yourself with clarity and confidence. You've said yes to one opportunity to put yourself out there. Maybe it's a podcast interview. Maybe it's a local magazine. Maybe it's a LinkedIn post that felt a little bold or like a hot take for your industry. Now imagine what's happening. Your inbox dings and there's a message from a journalist who found you through that post. A potential client reaches out saying, I've been following you and I feel like I already know you. You walk into a room, and before you can even introduce yourself, someone's like, oh, I've heard of you. Do you feel that? That's what shifts when you stop shrinking yourself. That's what happens when you decide to act like the big deal you already are. Now, here's the part I really want you to hear. This isn't something distant. It's not an impossible dream. This is what starts to happen the moment you begin to show up consistently, the moment you begin to show up clearly, and the moment you begin to show up unapologetically. Write this down. In 6 months, I will, and finish the sentence for yourself. Don't filter it. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about what anyone else will think. Just write the first thing that comes to mind. I promise you that the future you're picturing right now as you write that down, she's already waiting for you. And the only thing standing between her and you is your choice to start. Look, I want to share this one more time with you. I was once a girl from a tiny town in North Dakota, again, where there are more cows than people. Younger me would have never believed I'd be speaking halfway across the world about PR, about confidence, or about visibility. But the only reason I'm here, it's not because I was the smartest. It's definitely not because I was the loudest. And it's not because I got lucky. It's because at some point I decided to stop shrinking myself. I decided to act like the big deal I already was, way before I felt ready, way before. And you can do the same. I want the same for you. So here's my challenge for you. Before the week is over, share one part of your story out loud. Post it online. Write it in an email. Record yourself saying it. Tell it to a friend. It doesn't matter where. Just do it. Because confidence isn't built in theory, it's a muscle. Confidence is built in practice. The next time someone asks, what do you do? Don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't blur your brilliance, my friend. Own it, speak it clearly, say it the way you'd introduce your best friend. Because the truth is, the world can't celebrate a story it never hears, and yours deserves to be heard. So remember this, you're already a big deal. Now, my friend, it is the time to finally act like it. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, my name is KJ Blattenbauer. I'd love to connect with you and hear all about your progress. You can find me on Instagram at KJ Blattenbauer. That's at KJBLATTENBAUR, or on my website, Hearsay PR, HEARSAYPR.com. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope we see you being the big deal that you are very, very soon. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, KJ, thank you so much for being here. And do you know the feeling that I got from your keynote really much, it was so much about like, here's your permission slip. Here's your permission slip to feel like a big deal and stop waiting for some kind of metric to finally feel ready to put yourself out there into the world, and that there's so much opportunity on the other side of you
There
just
really,
standing.
really,
Yeah.
there really is. And I think, I think if we were at dinner and someone came up to you and they started talking to you and you were just like, oh, well, this is what I do. I'd be like, No, no, this is my best friend. This is what like you hype up your best friend. You're like, this is my best friend. She's done X, Y, Z. Well, she's brilliant at whatever. We need to start talking about ourselves like we would our best friend. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that at all. But for so long, I feel like we've been taught to put ourselves in boxes. This is how we should feel. And I think, especially in the age of social media, we're so worried about what someone else thinks, but someone else doesn't pay our bills. And it's really, truly none of our business what anyone else thinks about us. It matters what we think about us and the gifts that we can share with others. And it's wrong to keep our gifts from the world.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I think you're right. I think women especially struggle with this. And I think women have so much fear around, how will people perceive me? How do I say this thing as well? I think you've given us such a beautiful structure for everyone listening to be able to introduce themselves with confidence. I think that's something that I hear from women all the time. Oh, I just am kind of this, blah, blah, blah. And then they almost teeter off
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
abyss.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want you to know what I do, but I don't want you. I even catch myself doing it sometimes, but we really just have to step into it. You just really have to own it. I'm a big deal. I'm confidently doing this is what I want, and I am done apologizing for it. And I think once you adopt that mindset, you're not going to go back to the old way. You just won't.
You start to see the results, right? Like once you
Mhm.
step into that and start seeing the results, there's
Right.
no going back.
Yes. No going back.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, KJ. Thank you to everyone who's come along live. KG's session will be popped onto the Summer Summit playlist for everyone to watch. I know there's different time zones and lots of different things going on, so everyone will be able to enjoy your session over there on the playlist. And again, just thank you so much for coming and sharing such a powerful talk that also demonstrates how you've used PR and visibility to build this business for yourself. And here you are across the world through Zoom speaking with us today. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed the conference and all the speakers, and I know you have more wonderful ones to come. So have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye.